Today, we are going to discuss a very important, serious, and interesting subject. We always say God is love, but at the same time, we are finding suffering all around. We are suffering evils. In fact, we are finding that people whom we consider are evil are flourishing. So, this leads to a fundamental question: is God there? This question has been raised for ages. This question has actually led many people to make several comments about God. One set of people say that either God is incapable of controlling evils or he is a sadist that he enjoys the evils. In fact, even great men like Buddha rejected God on this ground. This has led to atheism. People who don't want to believe in God present this as a major argument against the existence of God. On the other side, people who are talking about faithism use this to exploit the gullible public that if they follow what they say, then they will be able to overcome their sufferings. Both of them are actually taking the people for a ride. They are exploiting. Why we are saying so? We are saying so because they have not understood in the first place what is God. To know what is God, we have to only fall back on Vedas. The Vedic wisdom is the only wisdom in the world which has a correct explanation and understanding of what is God. There are several religions that have cropped up, but they have not understood what is God. You talk to any religion, they will present a personality as God. If you talk to Hinduism, they will say Shiva, Krishna, Rama, etc., as God. If you talk to Islam, Muslim, they will say Prophet Muhammad or Allah is God. If you talk to Christians, they will say Jesus is the God. If you talk to Buddhist, they will say Buddha is the God. If you talk to Jains, they will say Jain is a God. I don't deny they are all gods. They are all God-like. There is a big difference between a God and God-like. Only Vedas have understood what is God. So, if you have to answer this question, why on one side Vedas declare God is love, and at the same time we are finding sufferings in this world. So, if we want to know the correct answer for this, the scientific answer for this, we need to know the science of God. Unless we know, we cannot get an answer. All other answers will be superstitious. Okay, now let us understand what is God according to Vedas. God is not a form, God is a force. God is not a person, God is an energy. For our convenience, we are calling it as God. Vedas never call anything as God. Vedas simply call the ultimate reality as Parabrahmam. Parabrahmam means the supreme energy, the supreme spirit that is responsible for the entire creation, all that is happening, all that is likely to happen, and all that has happened in the past. So, it has never talked about a God. In the entire Vedas, there is no mention of any particular personified God. It always talks about only an energy knot. It talks about Agni, it talks about Vayu, it talks about Indra, it talks about Rudra, it talks about so many energy knots. And each of these names are derivative of the job they do, or the functions they do, or their quality they have. They are not persons. For our understanding, an image has been given by the subsequent rishis so that we are able to comprehend and contemplate. I will give you a simple example. Let us take the case of Thiruvalluvar. Nobody knows how Thiruvalluvar looked like. But Thirukural is, in my opinion, is the Veda in Tamil. There is nothing that is not contained in Thirukural that can be ever found anywhere in any other literature. But nobody knew how Thiruvalluvar looked like. Therefore, in order for the people to comprehend him and adore him, on the basis of the Thirukural itself, they created an image of Thiruvalluvar, and today that is what we are honoring or adoring. Same will be the case of all the lords in any religion. Now, when we come to the Vedic religion, I am calling it as Vedic religion. I don't want to call it as Hindu religion or X religion or Y religion, because all other religions are unfortunately corrupted with so many other things that have crept in. But Vedic religion is pure and pristine. In fact, I should call it as Vedic wisdom. In the Vedic wisdom, and for easier purposes, if we want to call, let us call it as Vedic religion. In the Vedic religion, there was no name, no form. Name was nothing but the verb. If you say a person is going, he is going, he leave it, because that is what we have created. Going. Going is not a noun. He is doing that action. Like that, in earlier lecture I explained, Agni means growing up. Therefore it was called Agni. Similarly, all other deities, that is energies, energy knots, were what functions they were doing. Now subsequently, the rishis found such an abstract way of presentation is not able to be understood and contemplatable by common man. Therefore, in their vision, they realized how the energy will look like. Therefore, they created a Dhyana Sloka. Dhyana Sloka meaning how they visualized that energy. And if someone else visualizes in the same energy, same form, they will be able to visualize the same energy. That is called Dhyana Sloka. That is why in all the slogas, mantras, there will be a Dhyana Sloka. The Dhyana Sloka is for us to imagine, visualize that energy in that form. Out of the Dhyana Sloka, an image was created. Later on, the sculptures used it to create the shilas, what we see in the temples. Even in the temple, the shila is only for us to see, so that we are able to link it within our mind to capture it and comprehend it. But the true energy of that shila lies underneath in an yantra. Yantra is the crucial thing, because that is what drawing the energy from the universe and preserving it there. On the yantra stands that shila. Okay, coming back. The form is something what we have created for our convenience. But true point is, God is a force. God is an energy. God is a field. God is not a person. God or the Parabrahman, even here I am doing a mistake to call it as God. I have to use the word Parabrahman. The Parabrahman is a field, force, energy, and whatnot. He has only created the ground rules. When he wanted to create the universe, as I explained in one of the earlier lectures, he created the ground rules, which is called Rita, and the entire universe is operating as per the Rita. Therefore, if we have to understand what is happening in this universe, you have to look at the rules and how a rule can be correctly made. I'll give you a few examples. For everything, there has to be a positive and negative mode. Without a positive and negative mode, even a battery doesn't work. That means there has to be two sides for every coin. Now, one side for one person is called positive, for one side, for another person, it is called negative. The same thing. If there was only positive things, energy itself could not have been created. Can you create a battery with only positive energy? Without a negative energy, is it possible? So it has to be two, both sides. There has to be a male, female, masculine, feminine energy required. Without that, it is not possible to create. Therefore, for everything, there are two sides. One side, what we like, we call it as good. The other side, what we don't like, we call it as bad. Let us take a few further examples. Suppose there is a road going down, going down, going down, going down. If it is not going up at all, what will happen? We'll be getting into Padala, is it? Therefore, there has to be a going up. If there is a going down, there has to be a going up. Similarly, if there is a going up, going up, going up, going up, will we hit the sky? It has to come down to earth, Therefore, there has to be a falling down slope. Therefore, even for a simple thing like a road, there has to be a going up or coming down. You can ask why it cannot be only as flat. Yeah, it can be. It can only be a flat. But if it is only a flat, imagine if there is only a flat. Is it possible for all the creatures to survive? There can be no 100% flat anywhere. There can be no tree. There can be no mountain. Without mountain, there can be no river. How the universe can survive? Therefore, per force, even for a simple thing like a land, there has to be up, down. Let us look at a few other examples. If there is sunlight, if it is only sunlight, there is no darkness, can we live? We will get mad. That is why people in the poles, they get mad, because 6 months is daytime and 6 months is nighttime there. That's why people don't live there. Or if it is only night, what will happen? Unless there is a day and night, even the human beings cannot live. The animals cannot live. The plants cannot live. There has to be two sides. We are calling darkness as avidya, brightness as vidya. But even without avidya, there can be no vidya. That is why they say, learn both avidya and vidya. Then only you will become a complete man. In the entire life, what we consider to be bad for one person can be good for another person. Look at the food cycle. The tiger chases a deer. The deer is killed. From the point of view of the deer, it is a bad thing. From the point of view of the tiger, it is a good thing. Look at human beings. We eat so much of vegetables. We are actually destroying the vegetables. From the point of view of the tree, it is an evil done to them. But from the point of view of the humans, it is a good thing happening for their health. So, what do you say about it? So, like this, we can keep on giving examples. The simple point is that as far as the God is concerned, there is no good or bad. There are only rules. In His kingdom, there has to be a total uniformity, there has to be a total overall cycle happening, and for that, He has rendered these rules. In this, He has no personal interest. He is not interested in harming anybody, or in fact, He is not even interested in helping anybody. He has only laid the rules, the ground, and given equal opportunity to everybody. And thereafter, it is for each of us to use those roles to come up and lead a happy life. There can be good and bad, but we can pick only the good. How? Even for that, God has given an example of the swan. Even if you mix water and milk, the swan picks up only the milk because it has that wisdom. So there can be good and bad. What prevents us only from picking up the good? If you pick up the bad, then you have to pay a price and then you are suffering. That suffering is not because of God. That suffering is because you picked up something wrong. How can you hold Him responsible? He has given you free will to choose what you want. You can choose your profession, you can choose your job. Nowadays, you can even choose your wife. The only thing that you cannot choose are your parents and your date of birth and your date of death. These three you cannot choose. Rest of the things is what you like. So, if you choose things correctly, you are not going to face with problems. To choose the things correctly only, Vedas are guiding you how you have to conduct your life. If you conduct your life in accordance with the Vedas, then you will lead a happy, prosperous, peaceful, and joyful life. This is what we are trying to teach you in the Science of Vedas course. Now, if you look at the Vedas, Vedas contains so many very phenomenal and soul stirring statements. But none of the statement is telling that God has to change the rule. It simply says and prays that please present me with the correct options. Please guide me to choose the correct options. Please guide my intellect to be in a position to choose what is right and what is wrong. For enabling me to do so, please help me keep my mind, heart, and soul clean. For doing that, that is to keep my mind, heart, and soul clean, please make me to think, act, and speak right things, no wrong things. This is the entire prayer of Veda in mantra after mantra. We are mistaking as if we are making a prayer to God to somehow help us. No, that is not what we are praying. We are praying fundamentally to the Parabrahman to give us a right thinking process. And out of the right thinking process, a right sadhana. And out of the right sadhana, a right selection process, decision making process. And out of the right decision making process, right opportunity. And out of the right opportunity, a pleasant life. This is the entire process management. That is what we are seeking. And in the process management, it starts with a good, clean, correct, honest thinking, acting, and speaking. And Vedas are only trying to train a person to think correctly, to act correctly, and to speak correctly. So therefore, if there is sufferings, if there are evils in the society, if there are problems we are seeing, that is not because of God. God is always love. Only because He is embodiment of love, He has created this universe with all the resources for every one of the being to live, enjoy, and also created the rules. And these rules are unviolable. It has to be kept up by everybody. And He has made the rules known and also given the ways for us to understand it so that all of us can lead a happy and prosperous life. Let us be clear, God is only love. The sufferings are man made. The sufferings are not God made. If we find suffering, be clear, it is a wrong decision of that person. If only he can understand what the Vedas say, even today he can rectify it. Veda is the manual for a proper living. Vedas make us understand what the Parabrahman is trying to communicate to us. It is for us to understand that and be happy, peaceful, prosperous, and ever blissful in this life and life after life. Hari Om.